Welcome, everyone. I'm delighted to see you all. I'm Deirdre Mendez. I'm the director of the Center for Global Business, and I could not be more delighted to have our wonderful guest speaker this evening, Eduardo Padilla, who is the former CEO of FEMSA, one of Mexico's largest companies. But when I say former, I mean just barely former. Because Eduardo, you just retired in January, right?
Yes.
And even though you hadn't even retired before that, we were already talking about this presentation because you were already looking for ways to engage and continue to be connected with a broad audience who were interested in this field. And so that makes this very exciting. You're going to hear some fascinating insights today. And I just want to remind everyone you heard it here first.
Yeah, don't oversell, Deirdre. Don't oversell.
I'm not worried about that. So Eduardo, I believe in letting people do their own self-introductions because you can tell us what you think is most important for us to know about you. So please go right ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Deirdre. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very honored. Thank you very much. And I have a very emotional connection with UT because some very good friends of mine who also are alumni of UT. Some of them are board members, and some other, and even my daughter Catalina is a graduate from UT, from the architecture school. So I've been connected with UT for a very long period of time. I used to go to UT when I was very young. And so I'm very honored, and thank you very much. And as I said, some very good friends of mine really are alumni from Macombs. And well, I'm just as an introduction, I'm Eduardo Padilla. I am I went to college to engineering school, mechanical engineering. I got my master's degree in Cornell, and I've been working for. I think I worked formally for corporations for probably 44 years of my life, and I enjoyed it so much. And the beauty of it was to get to know extraordinary people and being able to connect with very committed people in order to touch our society and make the world better. Really, I'm married with Federica Sada, and we have 4 kids, 4 children, and a boy and a girl, and a boy and a girl. I don't know why, but we didn't plan it, but all of them now live in the United States, and it was not planned, but I think all of them studied their college and master's degrees in the United States, and that was the evolution. I've been around, as I said, in corporations, and I found that probably my willingness to be involved in corporation is because I love to transform people and organizations. And by doing so, we've been able to create economic and social value. And the main social value is to transform the people that we work with in order that they will be willing to connect with the customers. So I think that will be my presentation of who I am.
Super. Well, I think that's a great start.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's who you are today. And let's go back to who you were when you first started in business, because I think one of the things that's really fascinating about you is that you assumed very significant responsibilities quite early in your career, and you've been drawing on that experience ever since. So based on our conversation, I know that you had leadership responsibilities when you were very young, and you had to figure out how to manage people older than you, and also how to take on a leadership role, even in the face of a lack of experience. So can you talk about that a little?
Well, yes, I did have the opportunity to become a CEO of a carpet mill in Mexico, a carpet mill who manufactured wall-to-wall carpets. And this was in 1987. I was 32 years old. And I really was very lucky because the promotion really was for someone much more with more experience, and he was more prepared than me to become the CEO. But the thing is that at that time, that company still is, I think, is part of Alfa, which is another Mexican corporation. And at that time, Alfa was bankrupt because we had huge debts. Interest rates went ballistically high, and the same thing was around with Cursa. So and I was very lucky because I was around, and I did do some very good work because through this restructuring process of Alfa, we had to divest some companies, and I had the opportunity to divest one of the companies, which was a transport company for liquids and all derivatives. And so this was a big transport fleet with 5 terminals and a lot of tractors and a lot of pipes. And the offering that we'd received from a company, the way it was running, it was not very good. So I convinced the board and I convinced the management that I should take over and help them to sell piece by piece. And we were able to obtain 3 or 4 times the money. So probably I think that was something that they liked, but I didn't have any management experience. And since this guy said no, I was around and said, well, why not Eduardo? And I said, well, I immediately say yes. And but again, I couldn't say no. And I was 32 years old. But when I decided, oh my goodness, what did I say? I just said yes. And this is a huge a great opportunity, but I was very fearsome at the very time. So it was a combination of being very excited about it, but full of fear. And then I joined this company, and all the employees, all the management level were older than me, 3 or 4 or 5 years older than me, and the previous CEO left to work for our competitor, who was even bigger than us. So that was even more difficult to grasp. So what I did, I was very much lost. What am I to do? And I said, this guy was a very charismatic guy, but at the very same time, everything was about him, not the team. And all these teams that I inherited, I have to change a couple of them. One was the human resource guy, and the other one was the commercial director that ended up working for him. I decided that the best way to do it was by empowering them. I found that the rest of the crew that was going to be around was very capable, but they didn't have enough trust in themselves because it was about the other guy, not them. And I found that the best way really for me to make them flourish, and at the end make the company flourish, was helping them and to support them to do what they knew best, which was running the company. And we were very, very. It took us some time. We were very successful. And by 7 years times, we bought out our competitor, and it was a very nice story. But it's really, it touched me a lot because I was not capable, and I just found that I could open up possibilities. I did have more strategic thinking than them, and I could contribute to the vision of the company, and also help them and support them to do their work the best they could. And I think I love the story because I think they really flourished, and they were successful, and because of them, the company was successful too.
So that I love this story too. And one of the things that I love most about it is that once you had more experience, once you were a little older, once you had a track record, then you could have taken on that CEO role where you were in charge and you started giving orders to everyone and you didn't listen to them anymore, but you didn't do that. So can you describe a little bit why you continued with this philosophy of empowerment even when you didn't have to?
I really, because I was forced to, I learned it. And I learned that the companies are systems, and we have to serve the system. And the CEO is just one part of the system. And I think once you understand the system, you understand that is not about the CEO, it's not about the boss, it's not about him, it's about the company. And the most important server of this company is the CEO. And we are there to enable people that will enable people that will enable to customers. And really, when you have that mandate that the customer is the boss and the full organization is there to serve customers, the CEO has to become the major enabler of it. And so I think that really, I don't know, but I learned it by chance. I learned it because I was obliged to. I didn't have any other option. But I think through time, I think I really adopted as a way of thinking. And also, you know, when you empower people and you give them the means to do the work, tools and resources, and also you give them and you connect them to a higher purpose, these people fly. And I think they fly and they will do even things much better than that probably I could have done them. And I think probably the CEO role is to align everybody and to probably to give strategic thinking, enable, empower, take obstacles off, because sometimes the CEOs tend to without really thinking, although, but we can build obstacles by some not good decisions. So being very have a lot of ask a lot of questions, so they will know better how to bring solutions, and also to keep the core tenets, which is you have some ambitions which are set up by the management team and reality. And think that if there was a rubber band between those two, and this is a concept that really I learned from Peter Senge on the fifth discipline. So you have to keep creative tension, which is this rubber band is tense because you expand it to ambition and reality. And sometimes we people, when the management teams or the companies tell stories that are lies, and then the reality, you move reality upwards, but in a pathological way, because that is not true. What you have to give is to be very honest and be aggressive enough to keep tension around. And this tension, the only way to release it, not in a pathological way, because another pathological way is to reduce ambition, is to keep, and it's movement. And really, that's really about the role of the CEO to help them move to obtain these goals. And once you accomplish them, to move up again and keep this creative tension alive, which is sometimes uncomfortable, but you know, when you try to accomplish great things, there's some hard work to do. And I think you have to sell the vision and being a major cheerleader, so everybody will be aligned to obtain that.
You know, I'm constantly told that our students are unrealistic and they want the wrong things. They want to be connected to a mission, a meaningful purpose for their work. They ask too many questions. They don't want to just work. They want to know why. And it sounds as though you're saying that good management actually requires that you provide that kind of information and connect people to their work.
Yes, you have to be very transparent. In fact, in order that there will be more, everybody committed to that work, you have to connect the purpose to everyone. And I think that when those things happen, really everybody becomes very excited and committed. And you know, wonderful thing happens in the organization because of that. Empowering, giving the resources and tools about them, and giving the connection to the major purpose they're trying to build.
Okay, thank you. And can you talk about when we talked about establishing a culture that motivates people, you mentioned a few things. I can prompt you because I thought they were so interesting that I wrote them down. But I can just ask you, how do you create that question and that culture beyond just saying, here's our mission? How do you get everyone, how do you get everyone in the system that you're creating to contribute?
Well, I think is a major role of the CEO is to keep aligning everyone, and also to keep selling the gospel and the gospel of values, and make a very collaborative working environment. And in this collaborative environment where culture becomes very important, you have, I mean, the best glue out of the organization to make this collaborative environment work is really is trust, and in order to so that we can have a trustworthy relationship, you have to bring people that will be much aligned with the values that we are trying to that we share in the organization, to align, to bring also people that know what to do and know their thing, and also that they deliver. So it's about to be, to know, and to do. And those three things are around. The other thing is that everybody, the CEO is the most important person, that he has to be set up the example that we are there to serve. We're there to serve the system, and we're there to serve the organization to accomplish these things. So this service connection is about caring. And you in the United States, in the English word, has this verb that we don't have in Spanish. In Spanish, caring, you have to compose it with two words, me importas. But in English, to care is a great thing. And even I'm Roman Catholic, and there is an encyclical from Benedict XVI that he talks about love, the eros love, which is the love of the couple, but he also talks about the agape love, which is the agape to serve. And this is the love that we have to have in the organization, that we care about each other and we care about our customers. So really, once you set up this culture, the culture is like a container that will take the best thing of all of us. My father was an architect, and he taught me that you can design buildings or architectural environments where you can sense that your spirit is uplifted because of the space. The same thing happens with organizations, where you enter an organization and you might feel oppressed. Or what about if you enter an organization and you feel yourself that your soul is uplifted too? So really, that's what culture is about, to make collaboration feasible, and because we become a trustworthy organization that everybody is serving to the same purpose, and we are there to serve everyone. At the end, we'll be ending up serving our customers. But it's service. I found service is a very, very important element in the organization, and caring, to incorporate caring. I'm an engineer, but I don't know. I found that caring is an important thing in the organization to work.
Thank you. This is so inspiring. Moving, the Center for Global Business obviously has an obligation to ask you about doing business across borders. So can you maybe summarize some thoughts on recommendations for people who want to do business internationally?
Yeah, well, FEMSA started as a Mexican corporation, the way you describe it. Then we had a JV with the Coca-Cola company in Buenos Aires. Then we had a bottling operation in Buenos Aires. Well, by the way, I don't know, I didn't say, well, I hope you know what FEMSA is. FEMSA, we used to be a brewery. Now we hold 15% of Heineken. We are bottlers of Coca-Cola in Latin America. We have convenience stores in Mexico, Peru, Chile, Colombia, and Brazil. We have drugstores in Latin America also too, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, and Mexico. We have some logistics operations in Brazil and Mexico and Colombia. Also, we have some a Janssen business in the United States. But this is what we are now. But tell you what we were when I left the company. As I said, FEMSA was a Mexican operation who evolved to become a Mexican operation with a JV in Buenos Aires. And it took us a lot of time to learn how to do the international connection and how to respect the Argentinians, how to bring Argentinians into Mexico. And little by little, we understood that. Then we became Hispano-American because we have more Hispanic-speaking companies in the company. Then we have a Brazilian operation too. So we used to be Mexican, then Mexican with a JV in Argentina, then Latin American, Hispano-American, then Latin American because we brought Brazil in, and that was a great experience because even though Brazil, we are very similar to Spanish-speaking people, to Portuguese-speaking people, but I think we really, it's fascinating to see how many things we have this so similar, but there are some other things that really come from the culture and the country where you come from. And by, now before we used to send Mexicans, now we bring Brazilians, we bring Chileans, we bring people from Colombia, and now we are no longer a Latin American company because in the pandemic years we acquired some Janssen businesses in May, April 2020 of Janssen packaging food service disposables, and then we made a series of 13 acquisitions between 2020 and 2021, and now we have a very well-established distribution business in the United States. So now we were Mexicans, Hispano-Americans, Latin Americans, and now Pan-Americans. And it's fascinating that we share the same values. There are so many things that are. So if we were even a little bit afraid of the United States, we said, "Oh my goodness, it's going to be different." I was telling Deidre that when we Mexicans speak English and the ones that we were not born with English language, it's like we have a potato in the mouth. And then the more you speak the more you speak English, you are taking off the potato out. But then when you take the potato out, you have to go back to Mexico, and then the potato will come back again. But really, we were very nervous how we were going to be managing these companies. And we found that when you respect people, ask questions and learn from them and incorporate value to the relationship, they will respect you too a lot. So really, this culture also helps to become really a Pan-American company because since we share the same values in all these Pan-American countries, it's so easy to integrate and build from that. And I think it's very, very important to be respectful, to also to detect talent because talent is everywhere, and put that talent to work in the best place. And in fact, the current CEO of FEMSA is from Chile. He's no longer Mexican, which I think is a great thing that this company now is a Pan-American company, and we can have resources from all these 14 countries that we operate.
Super, thank you. I think all my students are going to want to go work for FEMSA.
Wow, they do.
So we've had some wonderful questions, and I want to start asking, and we won't get to all of them, but the very first one I thought was a great question, and that is, how do you continue to push the gospel that you described in the face of failure?
It would be very interesting to find why was the failure. If the failure was because we were negligent or because we didn't execute well, then probably we didn't have the right values around us. If failure was because probably we took the wrong bet, that's a learning thing. So I think when you learn from failure, you have to learn because you have to understand and make a good diagnosis of what failure was around. And I say said because if negligence or bad execution was there, then we didn't have the right values and probably we were not working well. But if failure comes because of the wrong bet, because with the information we had, we made the wrong bet. Well, that comes to learning, and it was not because of bad value system. So, really, I do see that this value system gives you a compass of how to behave in the organization, and you know, it's very nice because you set the tune of how things are going to be developed in the organization, but they will be delivering. So, and they will be, you will be empowering them to do what they do best. But I don't see the fight between the two, really.
And so you feel like even when you fall down for whatever reason, then you just continue discussing your values and realign if you need to and move forward in the same way?
Yeah, because you know, if negligence was around, then our value system was wrong. If the execution was wrong, then our value system was wrong. And if the path that we took a risk and we got it wrong, well, it's a learning opportunity.
All right, thank you. And here's another good one. There's so many. So if we don't get to your question, I apologize because I see lots of good ones. Here's one. Were there ever instances where management was uncooperative with the other employees? I assume we're talking about mid-level managers who didn't want to maybe give up that power that they would traditionally have in a collaborative working environment.
Yes, you know, it is tough, but we have to let go very good people that were not aligned with our values, and it's a tough decision. But you know, even though it was a tough decision, I think it was the right decision. However, as I said, I always have you have to give them the opportunity to anyone. So you will give him good feedback. You will tell him, you know, when you speak about values in our organization, you speak more about behaviors, because values in the abstract way, I don't know, it might be being austere is probably for someone say, oh, I'm not using a private plane. And the other one said, oh no, austere is going in economy, or austere is going by car. So I think values, in order that the organization understands values better, you have to come up with behaviors. And behaviors is really what they transmit. And behaviors come with a lot of discussion. And I think after you set up these behaviors, it's very easy to give feedback. Because then probably that person, the one where the person that raised the question was talking about this, probably he didn't show up the right behaviors. And even though he's very bright and he's a super guy, but the thing is that the wrong behaviors build distrust in the organization. And I think since the major glue in the organization to move forward is trustworthiness, then it's a difficult decision, but we were forced to do it. And you know, so far, out of all the people that I've been working with, and all the people that we have them let them go. I don't think we made the wrong decisions, because we bring people that were more aligned with the value system we were trying to build. And probably in the short term time frame, probably yes, we lost a little, but in the medium long term, it was the right decision.
Again, you're emphasizing culture, and that's so important. We have a couple of questions about your buying out your competitor, which is a lovely story, since the person who went there to be the CEO was really the right person in the beginning, and in the end, you ended up buying that company. So one of the questions was just generally sort of how did that happen? And the other was, did you integrate your company culture into that one? How did you make that connection?
And those I did brought some of that culture concept for Terza, and that happened when I was from 32 years old to 41. And I think we beat them because of luck again. We were small and they were big. And since they were big, they have to use wholesalers. And since we were small, we could go direct. And then we decided that in order to design the system best, one of my management team came with the idea, Eduardo, why don't we set up ourselves, our own distribution system, our own warehouses in Mexico, so we can deliver carpet cuts in less than 24 hours. So even no retailer has to carry inventory for ourselves. And that was a major weapon. And we destroyed them because they have to use wholesalers. And when you have carpets, you have colored lots, and you have to cut some rows in order to give the cuts for housing or for offices. And I think just by luck we were able, since we were the smallest, we could, and also we found our Mexican production. Our Mexican production was divided with exports, so we become very good in exports too, and we were able to complement our selling for the Mexican market with imports from the United States. So we became traders at the same time by selling in Mexican market with sourcing from the United States. And also we made a JV with the largest carpet in the United States. At that time it was Shaw Industries. And I think that was a great JV. And because of them also, we found that we had access to cheaper raw materials. So by all these combinations, we end up winning the game. But again, it's by luck. And it's just it's like you craft strategy, you find opportunities and you put the pieces together. And again, I understood the importance of people and the importance of teamwork, but I was not so much convinced the way I am now about culture. Now I define it culture. But that came after I left Terza, and I decided, and I came to work for OXXO, the retail company, and I was there for 16 years. And when I inherited OXXO, we have only 1,200 stores in Mexico. Now OXXO has, at the end of the year, 20,000 stores in Mexico, and I don't know, about 700 stores in Colombia, Chile, Peru, and Brazil.
Thank you. So we have a lot of questions about culture, cultural differences. How do you resolve them? What differences have you noticed? Did they cause problems?
Let me tell you about cultural differences. Inclusion is very important, but in the US, you have a different kind of inclusion. In Latin America, we need inclusion that everybody is important. In Latin America, we have a lot of social class discrimination. And I think one thing that companies were obliged to, that everybody has a name. The most humble person in the organization has to have a name, and he's someone. And in OXXO, because of that, we were very sensible, and we forced that everybody had to operate a store. Everybody, once a year. Myself, my assistant, and the messengers, all of us have to go and operate a store a day every year. And the beauty of it is that the first thing is in the Roman Catholic tradition, we have the Ash Wednesday, and we call it Ashes to Ashes. Is to understand that you are a person equal to everybody. You are a person, you might be having more luck, that you have the opportunity to study or come from a more wealthy family. But you are a person, and you are identical to anyone. You have the same, you have ambitions, you have a family, you want to have a human connection, you have fears, sometimes you are fearsome, and everybody's identical. And all that opportunity is that everybody connects, that ashes to ashes. We are equal to everybody. And the second one is that people in management understand that all the things that we do in the corporate office or the service office, the way you call it, we evolve from the corporate office to the service office, that we are there to enable people, that will enable more people, that we will finally enable the customer. And sometimes management trying to do good, we do so many bad things. And the best way to go there and see them running the store. And you see how many wrong decisions are made at the top with good intentions, but without knowing the system well, they will impact wrongly the store employees. So I think that was a very important course of action that we took.
Thank you. We have several questions about ethics. Have you run into issues associated with ethics, and how did you manage those problems with corruption or whatever it might be?
You know, we being big and you are always in the a lot of people want to refer to you, and sometimes authorities I'm thinking more about OXXO, which is the retail store, and we have to be very much connected with local authorities. And sometimes we companies tend to be a little bit sober, that I don't know if that's the right word, sober, which is lack of humbleness. And where you think that some of those local regulations are just very stupid things. And sometimes we didn't comply with all, and we were attacked because of that. And I decided, no, you know, we have to be we tend to be very obsessive and compulsive, that every minor, the most minor and the most stupid, according to our eyes, requirement, we will fulfill it. And you know, once you are obsessed with that, that sabotage or that attack is no longer the place. In fact, you become a benchmark. And I think we found out that we were attacked because we were sober. We didn't have the humbleness to accept regulations. And once we accept the regulation and we embrace it, really became to work wonders for us, because we became really a benchmark and example for those. So yes, we do have sometimes to evolve and think in a better way, but it's well, I learned it the hard way, really.
Being an example, obviously, of positive values like ethics, obviously that speaks to your corporate culture and your ability to motivate your employees and for them to be proud and engaged with your mission, right? So,
Exactly, Deirdre. And you know, you talk to the employees for all the things you do, and also you talk to employees for all the things you don't do, and you don't pay attention to. And the more you pay attention to things, everybody in the organization is observing how we behave, because we have to be consistent. It's like action. The actions speak louder than the talking. So we have to, and really that's why values have to be set out not by posters on the walls, but by behaviors. It have to be set out by behaviors, management behaviors, CEO behaviors. Everybody behaviors should be an example.
Well, I think that's a wonderful message for all of us. We have some questions about politics. Have politics prevented you from success doing something you wanted to do, maybe an acquisition or anything else? Have you had problems associated with that?
You know, being a public corporation in Latin America is difficult to participate in political parties. So we don't participate in political parties, but we tend to participate in politics in terms that we want to influence the community for the better. And I think that's the kind of participation that we'll encourage. That is, you're not going out after a political party, but being an active citizen or an active corporation, you really try to do the good for the community. And I think in Latin America, we need to set up the example, and really it's like like a centrifugal force. You talk best to your employees and collaborators. Then you go to the families, and then you go to the neighborhoods, and then you go to the community, and then you go to the states, and then you go to the government. So, and I think that talk has to be consistent all the time and all the time. So we consistency is very important, and being congruent all the time. So really, you are very much observed, and you have to accept that that's the name of the game. Really, you are more observed in Latin America than the one that you are observed here in the United States. Probably here, the most observed companies in the United States probably will be such big corporations, or the ones that are very much connected with human behavior, like social networks and everything. But I don't know. But in Latin America, we have a company to be a reference of good citizenship everywhere.
I love that. I love that comment, and I'm struck by the consistency of your message. And in some ways, it's very simple. Treat everyone well, let everyone shine, make everyone a hero, be consistent in your messaging, tell everyone the same thing. Actions speak louder than words. And at the same time, these are some of the most difficult things for people to do in leadership roles. How do you do it?
I think is sometimes, I think what gets across our behavior is egos. And egos are terrible. And my ego is always around. It's always around me. And I cannot fully control it, but but I know he's around. And most of the time is a pain in the neck. And I just have to have a very supportive group of people, my family, my collaborators, my extraordinary friends, and they help me to understand if it's me doing the talking or my ego. And the ego loves to victimize itself. Egos love victimization. And the other one is, I can detect when my ego is around. If I'm trying to victimize, my ego's around. And when I said, no, definitely my ego's around, is when I make drama. Ego, victimization, plus drama. And it's so much because it's a weak spot that we human beings have. Certainly we love to victimize ourselves. And when we victimize, we lost the control of the steering wheel. We never, I would strongly recommend you that you will never victimize yourself. You have to see what you have in control and build from that. If you victimize yourself, you lose control of the steering wheel. And the most important steering wheel is the steering wheel of your life. And you should never let that steering wheel be left to anyone else but you.
Well, that's a wonderful message for all of us. And it's time for us to end. I know that we would all love to have more opportunities to ask you questions, but the good news that I learned when we met last is that you are looking actively for ways to continue to express and organize your thinking and convey it to a broader audience. So personally, I'm looking forward to your book when it comes out. I'm actually joking. Don't anyone go to Amazon just yet. The book's not written, but I think we would all love to hear what you have to say as you think about the lessons learned.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Really, I'm as I said, I came here to this life to help to transform people and transform organizations. And that's what I love most for doing. And the more I can help people to be better people in organizations and better serve our customers and better serve our communities, the better off we'll all be. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Very nice to see you all. And I'm very honored for the opportunity, dear. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. All right.